September 9th, 2016. Guys, you're looking at the 2-day graphical tropical weather outlook from NOAA. Overnight, notice off the tip of Miami, a system just sprang up. We're going to look at the close-up satellite images of it, but what we got is the bottom storm has the highest chance of becoming a tropical cyclone within 5 days. But notice the recurve back up into the North Atlantic. Then you've got Invest 93L that we talked about yesterday between this storm called Disturbance 1 and Disturbance 2 that's off the Miami coast. Now this particular one, Invest 93L, some of the models are showing this thing going right back up into the Carolinas, guys, and setting there for 2 to 3 days. Right off the coast and maybe slamming into the edges of the coast. We'll have to pay attention to that. You already had the impacts from Hermine. But this is the wide Atlantic visible images. Well, again, what you're seeing is a sweep. The satellite's changing from the infrared to visible images. And what happened is all three of these storms developed. This one we got to watch because it will have the most immediate impact. You got an upper level shear that's moving from left to right. That's going to hamper the storm from developing the high clouds, but it's moving into warmer water. Again, I'm going to go through different satellites and get one particular one from COD that is 1 kilometer and very detailed on what we're talking about here. But again, notice as came out from overnight here in the infrared, and you see the sweep back to the visible. This thing was developed. I'm just going to kind of rock it back and forth here to show you how quickly, once the outer edge started sensing the Gulf Stream and the warmer waters of the Gulf of Mexico, it immediately sprang up. I said yesterday that the Gulf was ripe. It's way too hot, and we've got clashing winds. One on the bottom surface moving east to west, upper level shear. What that could do, depending on how this upper level shear holds together, is create another storm in the Gulf of Mexico. Notice just off the coast of Texas, you already got rotation in there. That's what I'm saying. That's not going to develop much. It may bring some rain to that area, but that's what I'm talking about. The conditions in the Gulf now are perfect. You got upper level shear moving again from left to right. But as soon as this thing gets past the tip of Miami, the upper level shear starts moving from south to north. So we're just going to keep an eye on this thing. It's real close to home. And it's been one of those years. We got record heat up in the northeast. It's going to break records possibly around Philadelphia and all. But switching back to Invest 93, the one in the middle, those spaghetti models have not changed since yesterday. But some of the other models have changed. Now this is the Florida enhanced satellite view of the Gulf. You can see the upper level clouds, and the clouded area in the pink, guys, is on the back right side of that storm as that shear pushes it back. But here it's going to be moving from 86 to 87 degree water over Key West. Then it gets up to 88 degrees and 90 degrees almost at the beach in Pensacola. That's how much warmer it is. Now this is showing from the September 9th today through almost the entire week. Let's take a look at this. It's not showing much development on the storm off Miami because this model has not really even picked it up. This is the CMC model. Then what happened, guys, everyone woke up this morning to this storm. But see the low pressure there. Now that's on 911. That's where they expect that storm to be by then. They're not showing much cloudiness. But Invest 93L is the one in the red dot, very center of the image, which is the center storm between these three. Now pay attention on the 12th. We can just bottom right is your timestamps. 13th, it's already affecting the Outer Banks. 14th, it's still there. I'm just stepping through the dates. 15th, 16th, by the 19th, it's out of there. But you've got 3 or 4 days of weather from this storm if this model holds true. To your far right is the larger storm that's expected again to recurve into the Atlantic and bring some more windy, rainy weather to the UK. But guys, this new storm for the Gulf Coast, we better watch it. And you folks up in the Carolina areas, pay attention to that one. Now, let's look at a 1 kilometer very high definition satellite camera. Here you can see the upper level wind shear. You cannot hardly see it in the other satellite images, but you can see this faint drift at the high levels. Then you can see the spin coming out from the bottom of the clouds on the right. That's your center of rotation. But most of the storms, again, are being pushed back. But look how powerful they're becoming as the sun's coming up and hitting the Florida coast this morning, guys. You know how quickly it gets on that warm on that water. Here are your wind vectors. Now, these are the lower level. This is your temperature. As I go through this, notice it's right here coming out of the 80 into the 82 degree part. Then it's going to go quickly from 82 to 84 to 86 plus as it moves further west. Strengthening could occur with this storm. It will be interesting to see because, again, they have not had time to model it. Let's look at the radar, just strictly radar images. And you can see how this thing would love to form those small outer feeder bands. You can see the rotation very clearly. Now, what will happen? It's two factors. One is extremely warmer water. The other is the upper level wind shear moving from left to right in these images. But remember, once it gets past that point, they had it kind of setting in the center of the Gulf. And that is because the shear is going to be moving from south to north. Look over the Yucatan Peninsula. But notice again, the storm off the coast of Texas, guys. Not a storm, just a low front. But that's what I'm saying. The Gulf is ripe for any type of development. It's extremely dry air. Texas and Louisiana is not getting rain from that now. But with that southerly flow, we may get more moisture in the Gulf. Again, heads up from the Carolinas, off the East Coast there. And, of course, I live here in the Gulf, we're going to be watching that very closely. This is a heads up. Be safe.